Okay, I guess hello everybody. GameBrain here. If you're watching this on YouTube, yep, thank you. This is being live streamed though, so I might also respond to someone in chat or anything. I'll be going over all 135 cards. I mean, I want to do this in less than an hour, but it's definitely not going to happen in less than an hour. And yeah, overall thoughts going into this. I think this is going to be a pretty cool expansion. I'll actually play Standard again after like a year of not playing Standard. So there's that. Wild, I don't know how much is gonna change in like high tiers, but there's gonna be a lot of like fun tier 3 and tier 2 decks. Hello there, Nico. Grain Brain, yes, Grain Brain Industries here. Alright, quick way how this review is gonna work. I usually just do star rating review. I think for this set it's a bit weirder. I'll be giving star ratings for some of these, but I'll just be giving my general thoughts for each card. I think there's some cards here that it's like unfair to give them a star rating, like the first card, where it's like it would probably get a low star rating, but it's probably gonna see like play. So it's like, okay, we're gonna talk about this. I'm gonna get into it. I'll give it like a few more seconds if anyone else wants to jump in stream, because I did post it on the Discord. So, all right, yeah. I guess we will get it started then. First card, Final Showdown. Demon Hunter questline. First part, draw 4 cards, then draw 5, and then draw 5, and finally you get Kurchus. Okay. Honestly, this card has received a lot of negative commentary from the community. They say this card's bad. They say this card isn't gonna see play. Also, what do you mean? This is clearly Koikatsu Party. Yeah, so people say this card's bad. No. It's actually pretty good, and here's why. I think people are evaluating questlines on how well you can build a deck around them and how much benefit you get from the final reward. Here's the truth about this: you probably never reach the final reward. You actually just play this in OTK Demon Hunter, where you like always hero power on 1, right? You don't have a real turn 1 play most of the time, so you just play there. Boom, and then like whenever you play your Skull turn like 6 turns after, you just get -1 cost on 4 cards. If you hit like Il'gynoth, that's just it, like banger turn. So you can also hit the 2/4s, so you don't really have to outcast your Skull. You literally just play this, always guaranteed in the opening hand of the OTK deck. That means like, yeah, just you play this for the first reward, and sometimes, rarely, you'll also get a second reduction. But yeah, the last reward actually doesn't matter, even though it's supposed to be the overpowered one. So this, yeah, it's true. The last reward isn't that great. By the time you complete this quest, you've already drawn your deck. The commentary is correct, but what it comes down to is you just use these for the first 1, perhaps 2 rewards, and you get a big benefit of it in your OTK deck. It allows you to play your OTK turn much safer. So, actually a pretty good card. This is why I don't want to give star ratings this time around, because like, yes, this is technically like a 2 or 3 star card, but yes, you also technically just always run it in every OTK Demon Hunter deck, because the card itself isn't good, but the way you can use it is very specific and will be very useful. Metamorphin, I'll say it right now, I think the whole Fel package sucks, just because you can't hit face easily with it. And then like control Demon Hunter, like just play big demons or something, like what a 1 mana 3/4 that you can only like play along with a Fel spell, so like probably turn 3 or after, then might as well just play a 3/4 taunt, right? It's just so weak to waste the slot on this. Sigil of Alacrity, I'll kind of run through these cards because they're all pretty bad. Really bad card. At the start of your next turn, draw a card and reduce cost by 1. You've prepaid the mana, so that kind of sucks. Going 1 for 1, but you waste your card this turn and you get it back next turn. That's literally a worse Jar of Greed, or it's effectively a Jar of Greed. And then like the mana reduction, you already prepaid it. It's like reverse overload, I guess, which is even worse than overload. So, yeah, I don't know. I think this card's really terrible. I don't see it seeing play. If for some reason this deck pops off, the Final Showdown deck, because to be fair, Glide can't complete every single quest line alone, but yeah. I said, did I say pot? I meant Jar of Greed. This is a bad Jar of Greed. If I said pot, my bad. Because yeah, I meant if it was a bad pot of greed, it's C play. But no, it's a bad Jar of Greed. Yeah. So bad card. Moving on. Fel Barrage. It's okay, I guess. Like Cleave never saw play. Cleave only saw play from Zephyrus. But then like that's very specific situations. So you wouldn't run this in your deck. Like if you generate it, I guess it's good. But yeah, this can hit face, but like it's usually just gonna hit minions, and dealing like Cleave in a control Demon Hunter is terrible. Terrible card. Yeah, you can recast it, but it doesn't. It's just Cleave never saw play, and Cleave was in a control class. So why would this card see play in like a non-control class? It's just a bad card. Even though like the effect itself isn't bad, it just doesn't fit the playstyle of Demon Hunter. Chaos Leech. This is like I-Beam, but instead of reducing the cost by 2, you deal 2 more damage. So would you rather have a card be 2 mana cheaper or deal 2 more damage? It actually depends. If you do hit this from Skull, it technically is better. But do you rate a card based on the possibility to hit it from Skull? The answer is no. So while this technically someone could argue this is better, I think especially for like OTK or like tempo decks that just want to get rid of something, just having the possibility to spend only 1 mana for the clear is much better than just dealing 2 more, in my opinion. That said, I-Beam is an insane card, so this card's actually also good. It's just that when you have an insane card, why would you play like a very good card with the same effect instead of just playing the insane card? That's kind of my logic behind it. So once again, like this card would probably, if I was to give it a star rating, that's like 4, maybe even 5-star card. But like I-Beam's like just like high 5-star card. So this just is worse in that regard. Even though like for example, when I-Beam rotates, this card's gonna be insane in standard. Lion's Frenzy, so this is like the payoff card for like the draw deck Blizzard wants you to play. No, that's not happening. The quest is gonna see play, but I don't think there's gonna be like some draw deck where you draw your whole deck in 1 turn or something. I think that's too crazy. For this card to be good, you'd need to draw at least like 5 to 6 cards in 1 turn, like 2 turns in a row. That's not happening. And you go through all that trouble just to deal like what, like 2 more damage than the like soul fragment weapon. That's really not good enough. So even if you do pull off this incredibly difficult task of drawing like 6 cards in 1 turn, it's still like only like slightly better than a weapon you can just play that already has 4 attack from the start and gives you healing. Yeah, garbage card. Okay. Felgorger, draw a Fel spell, reduce its cost by 2. So this card is technically very good. So like if you did have like really high impact Fel spells, this card would be great because once again, like standalone, this is a 5-star card. It just doesn't synergize with anything. Like what are you going to draw? Your Chaos Leech? Well, you already have I-Beam that costs 1 without needing to play this card. You're gonna draw your Cleave, like your budget Cleave in a non-control deck. Great. Like so this card like is a great card. It's really insane to cheat out 2 mana on a 4 mana 4/3 demon. It's like very overloaded by itself. And I'm sure in the future this is gonna cause some problems in Wild. But right now, Demon Hunter is a new class. There's not enough cards out for it. This does nothing. So once again, it's like a 5-star card on paper, but it's like no impact at all, like in the actual game. Now, this card, however, is just insane. Persistent Peddler. Okay, it's a 4 mana 4/3. It's tradable, and it pulls out another Peddler from your deck. So this is just like a piloted Shredder that always has a 4/3. And if you somehow draw the second one, you can just shuffle it back in to draw a card with tradable. This card is just crazy. This is like the high end of the Death Rattles in a Death Rattle Demon Hunter package, but I think in like any Demon Hunter package, you can just probably include, like except OTK where you just want to draw cards fast, but like in a Tempo Demon Hunter, Aggro Demon Hunter, Like I think this card is just so strong because it thins your deck, and you can't like get bad luck on it. Even if you like get screwed over in your mulligan, just shuffle it back in and draw a card. Really powerful card, very reminiscent of the Yu-Gi-Oh cards actually, like the tomatoes and the black witch and yeah, stuff like that. Really insane card. I'm surprised we didn't have something like this in Hearthstone up till now. But then again, now that I see it, very strong card. I think this will see play in like many Demon Hunter decks, and it's definitely going to push a lot of the Demon Hunter archetypes out there. Ironbound Brute. I guess this is the other payoff card that Blizzard wanted you to have in your draw your whole deck kinda playstyle, but they kind of forgot that for something to have payoff cards, the archetype needs support to help you get to those payoff cards. So this whole draw your whole deck thing, I think, is just a failure of an idea. Once again, in the future, this may be problematic in some wild deck in like 3 years from now, because this is baseline ogre stats. It's 6 mana, 6/7 baseline, because you always do draw a card at the start of your turn. Like if you play Skull, it's like a 3 mana 6/7, but like Skull costs 6, right? So unless you pull this off of Skull, and by the way, you should never rate cards based on the RNG chance that you're going to pull them off Skull, because like most of the games you won't pull them off Skull. So it's like, yeah, it's like on the turn, if you play like Skull on 9, you can play like a 3 mana 6/7 with it on 9, but that's really not that great. Even if you somehow reduce it by the way, it's just right now this card's very bad, but it's definitely going to be problematic in the future. And finally, the finisher of this whole Fel deck that they've been trying to push, Jace Darkweaver. Honestly, I think this card's also bad. We look at it, cast all Fel spells you've played this game. It's the same issue with Felgorger. What Fel spells? All Fel spells target minions. So you're just gonna like clear your opponent's board as a Demon Hunter? That's your big payoff card to finish the game? Like, if you compare that to Wilgenoth, Demon Hunter literally already has like a game plan where on like turn 8, turn 9, they play an OTK that deals like over 30 damage in one turn. So to be better than that, to push the class further than that, I'm not saying you should print something stronger than Il'gynoth, but like you're basically playing this card and it just like sometimes clears your opponent's board and heals you a bit. So interesting to note, the one synergy is with the 5 mana replace your hero power spell. But I think overall, very underwhelming card. So just quick summary. Final Showdown will see play in OTK, not for its final quest reward, but for the reward of the first 2 quest lines. The whole Fel package is really bad. With the note that Felgorger might see play in the future in some wild deck. The whole draw package is really bad. I mean, someone chat asks underwhelming card or underwhelming deck. Here's the thing. The card is underwhelming because it's just there's just no Fel spells. All the Fel spells suck, and this card like relies on the Fel spells that exist in the game. So if in the future, like maybe like 3 or 4 really crazy Fel spells are printed for Demon Hunter, then this card would be good. But right now, it's just a combination of like bad deck and bad card at the same time. Because like this isn't even that insane, like for a card. Even if you were to recast like 4 or 5 good spells, like there's other classes, like Shaman on turn 9 just Shudder Walks in Wild, right? And they cast like 10 to 15 effects that usually like wins the game for them. So there would need to be like so insane cards printed for this that I just don't see them. Like perhaps because of how like hard this happens in like a few years from now, but in the near future, I don't think this card will be good. But yeah, the draw package just has payoff cards without having support for it. So like this, you could say like the Sigil here is support, but it's just such a bad card that Even if you somehow made a draw deck, you would like purposefully leave this out. So yeah, overall, big highlights. Final Showdown I do think is a good quest, but not for the reason Blizzard wants it to be. Peddler, insane tempo card, really big payoff, and you can't low roll on it. And then finally Brute and Fel Barrage could technically be problematic in the future, but they're really weak now. Okay, Druid, another very underrated quest, Guff the Tough. Okay, so people are once again saying that this quest is underwhelming because this is the only like quest reward that doesn't instantly give you like a game-winning play. But let's look at it, right? All you have to do is gain 4 attack, then gain 5 more attack, and then gain 6 attack. Yo, what's up, Jordan? So yeah, like, it's not that bad to complete, especially if you consider all the support available, right? You have Pounce. You have the new card that we'll take a look in a bit, which is, by the way, a standalone good card by itself. And then you have the Corrupt card, which gives you 4. So the Corrupt card already completes 1 quest line by itself. Pounce and then like 2 hero powers effectively complete another quest line by themselves. So then you basically just have to work like a bit hard for the final part of the quest line. And I mean, the armor keeps you alive, okay, that's fine. But I actually think Guff the Tough is such an underrated reward. It's such a huge tempo play. While it doesn't like win you the game, pretty much you can copy it. It's the only quest reward you can copy. Like technically you can play Scabs and Rogue with Shadow Step, but because this is a taunt beast for Druid, you can make copies of this card if you need to, if you want to go like the big value route. But like most of the time, just dealing 8 to the enemy face, you've already gained a lot of attack, and we're assuming some of that's going face. So, and then just having a big taunt to stay alive and armor, that's just such a swing of tempo in the game that you don't necessarily need this card to win the game by itself, because it just puts you so far ahead in the game. So I actually think like this card's definitely not like 5-star or anything, but especially in Wild, like you just run Odd Druid, you put this in Odd Druid, then you have like crazy cards to support this in Odd Druid. You have the mini quest, the Stop the Deck or something like that, Protect the Deck, where you just attack twice and you get like 3 claws, and that like by itself completes like half this entire quest. It's just big payoffs in Wild with Odd Druid, and then in Standard it's not like that hard to go with. Okay, and then let's look at a few other cards. The Soil card, I'm very conflicted about this card because it's on paper it's decent, but I just don't know if like it's going to fit in to the Token Druid deck, just because the Token Druid deck wants to run so many things, as we'll see with the next few cards. Because like this is a very basic turn 1 play, right? Like it's either a 2/2 or it's like a minor buff. So is this like big enough? Like I guess what I'm trying to get to is like the card might not be impactful as a card. So like this effect is good for the mana cost. Like this effect is insane for the mana cost. But is this effect worth 1 card in a deck where you use like 1 card to fill your entire board with treants? And as we'll see, there's like many other deck cards you'd want to include in this deck. So is this worth taking up a deck slot? Right now I'll say no, and I'll compare this to all the cards that are out there. I just think this just doesn't fit in, which means in the future it won't either, because the more time passes, the more cards come out, so the less. It's not like cards that exist now will be deleted, so if this can't make it into decks now, it probably doesn't in the future. Maybe in Standard after rotation this sees some play, but I think this is just not worth the card in a token deck. Vibrant Squirrel, same problem. Is this worth the card in a token deck? A 1 mana 2/1 that can potentially summon like a few more minions later on in the game. Once again, this deck already runs 1 card that fills your entire board. So, like Glowfly Storm. So this probably doesn't make the cut once again, just because there's just better cards you want to run in your token deck. So I'll skip, like both these cards pretty much have the same. I don't want to say issue, but I think they're like going to be restricted by the same aspect. Alright, Composting, broken card. I'm pretty sure this is like the 1 card everyone is in agreement is like super unfun. I don't know why they were printing this. I don't know what they thought when they made this. Like this, there's no way this doesn't get nerfed. This probably gets nerfed to 3 mana first patch. So here's the issue with this card. Basically, in the past, the difficulty of dealing with Token Druid was Token Druid plays their hand, they set up a board, and the board has a death rattle effect where it sets up another board if you kill it. So for decks to be able to deal with it, they had to be able to board clear twice. So this card sets up something even worse. So once they set up their board and they waste their entire hand to set up this board, there's two possibilities. The first possibility is, well, the board also comes with a card draw, or the board just only comes with a card draw without setting up a second board after. Which means you either have to clear the board and your opponent gets to draw an entire new hand of cards. So you just, and goes like +7 off you clearing their board. Or you just leave their board up and risk dying next turn. So, yeah, fun card. It's completely broken. If this makes it unnerfed, I would be incredibly surprised. This card has been hyped up by everyone, but I don't think it's overrated. I think it's very justified. Yeah. Nerf Druids, I mean, they did. That's the thing. The crazy part is, like, 2 weeks before this card got announced, in their last balance patch, they literally nerfed this deck. This deck was so broken that they had to nerf it, and then they just released this after the nerf. It's so insane. And it's like, okay, what's the point then? Yeah, and then Wickerclaw. After your hero gains attack, this minion gains +2 attack. I don't think this is a fast enough card to see play. If it gained like +1/+1, would be completely different, but because this is locked at 4 health, at the end of the day, even if you get it to like a 6/4 or something like 5/4, it still only has 4 health, so it's very easy to deal with. Yeah, I'll just leave it at that. Oracle of a Loon, and like the deck gets even more broken, right? You play Oracle. Like maybe this is the only, maybe only because of Oracle you play Vibrant Squirrel just to have like one more 1-drop, but realistically, you want to play this with something like Gibberling, right? So you can multiply both of them. So you just play Oracle, you just play a good token like Gibberling, and then you just play one spell, and that's literally 5 minions. So that could be like a 6 mana, like, yeah, 6 mana, like, insane play. Actually broken. Once again, goes in the same token deck. Really helps you swarm the board, and just pretty outstanding card. I don't know what more to add about this. I think this is like, yeah, just pretty outstanding card. Kodo Mount. When I saw this card, I thought it was really good. After seeing every other Druid card, this card is just too fair. Both for Wild and for Standard, it's just too slow. Why play like a 4 mana 4/2 buff that can potentially summon one more minion when you can play a 2 mana buff that draws you 6 cards? Yeah. Park Panther. So this is the other card I talked about that would go into the attack deck. So the way this would work, you'd ideally want to just include this in your attack deck. This can also be played in some like Tempo Druid deck. Not that one exists right now, but it is good enough by itself. So you play this, you trade in with the Park Panther, and it has like fake taunt after that because your opponent doesn't want this to attack a second time. And then you also like trade in with your hero, and one card remove like 2 small minions, or one card remove 1 minion and deal 3 face, and then it has like taunt on it, assuming you're not in a bad health spot. Really, really good card. Just solid overall. Nothing too crazy about it. Like, you don't see this card and you're like, wow, how is this so broken compared to some other cards we saw. But for the archetype it's in, I think it really pushes the archetype, and it's a very strong card. Best in Shell. So people have said a lot of things about this card. Some people say it's a better infestation. Some people say it's a worse infestation. Honestly, as a person who plays like combo Druid decks and Wild, I play my Aviana Druid a lot. Will I run this over Ultimate Infestation? No, I won't. And I think that's what it comes down to. That's how you evaluate your card. When it comes to actually putting this in my deck, will I replace Infestation with this? I won't. I could see running this, like, one copy of this in addition to Infestation, especially because of the tradable. But that said, Ultimate Infestation is one of the best cards ever printed. So the fact that you're comparing it to Infestation in the first place, I think, is a big plus. I think for slower control-y Druids, this is definitely a very good card. Does a Druid like that exist in Standard? No, it doesn't. And for Wild, you already have Ultimate Infestation, so you'd need to try really hard to fit this into your deck. So once again, this is why I'm avoiding card ratings today. Technically a 5-star card, but practically there's like already a better 5-star card than it to run. So, and finally, this guy, Moontree. Like this has insane potential, but I feel like it's just a meme, right? Like there's no way this actually, like, what are you gonna like play this on? Like Cenarion Ward? I guess. But then why not just play Cenarion Ward? You lose the tempo by playing this, right? Like, if Cenarion Ward's in your deck, would you really not rather like Eclipse and then play 2 copies of it? Like, if you do top deck it, it's insane, but you're giving up so much tempo. I guess if you have some consistent way to tutor Cenarion Ward, then maybe. But even then, you'd need, for this card to be efficient, you'd need to hit like 2 Cenarion Wards really fast, because otherwise you can just play Eclipse and then 1 Scenario, and you still get the same effect. Yeah, I don't know. This card, like, when you look at it, it's like, wow, you get to cast 3 spells for free? And then it's like, which spells are you going to cast for free? I mean, like, even in the future, I actually don't think this can be a problematic card. Because Druid already has so many ways to cheat out spells. You can literally make all your spells cost 1 mana faster than you can pull this off. So the question is, why like leave it to you having to draw the spell when you can preemptively have the spell drawn and then set its cost to 1? And then you also set your opponent to 1 mana so they can't respond to it, right? That's the whole benefit of it. So, I mean, alignment exists. I don't think Sheldress does much. Overall, quick recap. I definitely see potential in the attack quest. It's not going to be like tier 1 broken or anything, but it's a fun deck that you can probably like play and have fun with and do well with. And then like token druids, just tier 1 broken. Hopefully they nerf it, like patch 1. Okay. Okay. Let me open up here. Tempo Storm meta snapshot real quick. I want to prove a graph. Can we find the wild graph? And then do we have deck trends? Yeah, let's look at deck trends, and then let's look at yeah, let's look at, here we go. So I want to pull this up here. I'll have this open up. Yeah. Okay. I'm going somewhere with this. Don't worry, yo. All right. So, first of all, Devouring Storm. Like, let's get this out of the way. This is a terrible card. Hunter's not a control class. Even if it was a control class, it would be spell dependent. The Rat package sucks. This spell sucks. You don't want your minions to trade. You want your minions to go face. Literally anti-synergistic with what the class wants to do. Even though it's a 0 mana spell, you can't even make it work with Auctioneer because it kills your Auctioneer. Just a terrible spell. Okay, now that we got that out of the way. Defend the Dwarven District. So let me explain something here. So this deck right here, let me pull it up. Tier 2. Reno Priest. So Reno Priest, this deck right here, for anyone who doesn't know, is the most broken deck in the history of Hearthstone. From the moment it came out, it has consistently been a minimum of tier 2 in Wild. As you can see in this meta snapshot, for the past effectively like 5 to 10 months, this deck at its worst has been the top of tier 2, which is like the 4th best deck in the game, at its worst. So this deck is actually inconsistent, because the way it works is you first need to play Raza the Chained to reduce your hero power to cost 0. Then you need to play an 8 mana Shadow Reaper Anduin to change your hero power to something that deals 2 damage, and after you play a card, you repeat it. So in order to be able to pull this off, you need to draw both cards, spend about 13 mana to play them. You can also spend 5 more mana with Lower Keeper Poke Health to rearrange the deck to find the cards easier. But effectively, that's the entire process you have to do. And then you have to play cards and hit your opponent and deal damage. And even though this process is so tedious, this is the most broken deck in the history of the game. It stayed at the top for the longest out of any deck. So now we look at the new Hunter quest. Okay? So what does the new Hunter quest do? You pay 1 mana, you deal two spells with damage. Okay? That's fine. Your spell can target minions. That's okay. Then, you play 2 more spells that deal damage. Boom, your hero power costs 0. You play 2 more spells that deal damage. Wow, you just get this in your hand. And now, like, you just get the Razakus effect for free. So for 1 mana, and just playing cards, any spells that deal damage, no restriction whatsoever, and then playing a 5 mana 7/7, which is an overstated minion, you get the same combo as the most broken deck in the history of the game that needs to go through like a billion hurdles to set it up. Like no duplicates, draw 2 specific cards, and then have enough fuel left over to pull it off. Right? And here, Hunter gets that literally at the start of their opening hand every game, because quests always start in your opening hand. Like, this is actually probably one of the most insane cards ever printed. I don't know who looked at this and approved it. They're probably like, oh, probably Hunter doesn't have like the spells in standard to be really broken. But in Wild, they literally have a weapon that fills their hands with random spells, so 10 refreshes as long as they don't have minions in their deck. But guess what? You want to play spells in this deck, so you probably just won't include minions in your deck in the first place. So you complete your quest, and you literally play your weapon, and you have 10 refreshes on your hero power from a single card. Absolutely insane card. I hate that I will have to play against this. Yeah, just probably one of the craziest cards ever printed in the game. How do you nerf it? Probably make it so that it costs more spells to finish the quest, but I don't know. There's no way this makes it through a nerf. Like real hard nerfs though. Even at like 9 spells, I think you still play it. Like I still generally think this still sees play at 9 spells, because it starts in your opening hand. Like Razakus, which is the best deck in the game, in the history of the game, literally just has to draw the cards, so they could literally be at the bottom of the deck, and it's still the best deck. This always starts in your opening hand. All you have to do is play spells, which you can make sure you have by filling your deck with spells. Like, that's not... Okay. I won't spend too much time on it. There's no way I'm finishing this video in an hour, but yeah, okay. Broken card. Yeah. And then you have stuff like this. After 3 friendly beasts die, draw a beast and give it +1/+1. I mean, what a bad card. It has anti-synergy with itself, because you wanna have small beasts so they die, but then you wanna buff beasts, but small beasts don't benefit from buffs because a 2/2 isn't much better than a 1/1. So actual trash. What? Yeah. Like they print this, and then they're like, "Hi, we're just gonna leatherworking kit." Okay, aimed shot, literally a better kill command. It's a kill command for your spell deck because you do the 3 damage, and now your hero power deals 2 more damage. But you can also, because your hero power can also target minions, you can. It's like a kill command where the damage is split. So you play this, and then like you can choose the 2 extra damage that's like 4 total with your hero power. You can use it on another target, so you don't even have to spend all your damage on the same target. Plus, it's another spell for the Hunter quest. Really insane card. Yeah, just really crazy card. Definitely sees play in the Hunter quest. Outside the Hunter quest, I don't know if it would see play, just because like kill command was also like kinda not seeing play towards the end before it got removed. There's like the rhinos now, which are much more threatening. So really insane card for the quest deck though. Yeah. Let me see what else. We have the Ramming Mount. Like, I want to be excited for a card like this because you're like, wow, this is such a cost-efficient card, and you're like, yeah, it is a very cost-efficient card, and it's a very strong card. Normally, you'd see this and you're like, wow, 2/2, and it gets a free trade, and then it summons another 2/2 that can get a free trade. Like, wow, that sounds insane. And then you're like, wait, you need to target a minion with this, so it doesn't fit in a spell deck, so you just won't play it. So, really strong card theoretically, but it doesn't deal damage, so you can't use it for your quest. So yeah, Stormwind Piper. By the way, this isn't even a beast, which is kind of funny. A 1/6 for 3 mana, and it gives your beasts +1/+1 after it attacks. Hey Claire, what's up? Like, this card sucks. Like, I will say it. Like, we're gonna see the rats after. This whole like small beast package sucks so bad. Like, they want you to play small beasts, but then the payoff is like you buff your big beasts, but then like if you're playing big beasts, then you're not playing small beasts. But then it's like, oh, you can play Stormwind Piper, but imagine playing a 3 mana 1/6 that does nothing when you play it. So then you're just playing like a bad card to buff your small beasts, but the small beasts are bad cards, but you're supposed to be using them to buff a strong card. Yeah, it's just the whole package just feels really bad. And then like Rodent Nest, like a 4 mana 2/2 that summons like 5 rats. Like, yeah. Like, lore wise, it makes sense, but I'm saying like they should have just chosen a different like being for this card. Like, oh, demon has no synergy in Hunter. Like, you can't do anything with a demon. This could have like no tag. It could be a Murloc. It could be anything, right? This doesn't synergize with the duck at all, and the effect is also bad. Yeah. And then like the rats, I think they're terrible. Like 4 mana 2/2, and then the payoff is like 1/1 rats. Compare this to literally like a good egg, like 0/2 Nerubian egg instantly summons 4/4. So this, it costs 2 more mana than the Nerubian egg, and gives you like 3 attack and 1 health more worth of stats. But this is actually worse because the rats are spread. They just get cleared so much easier. So, and it costs 2 more mana. Again, the beast synergy isn't going to work out, right? Because we'll see the payoff card in a bit. So what might actually be good is the imported Tarantula. So this card is a very, very like high statted card. You have Death Rattle that summons like 2 rushing poisonous spiders. It's a 4/5 by itself, which means you can pull this off Guardian Animals. And on top of all of that, it's a beast, and it has tradable. So like, even if for some reason it's not the perfect opportunity to play this card, throw it away and draw another one. Really overloaded card. So while I can't say like where it will see play, like there's no way this doesn't see play. There's just so much on this card that at the end of the day you just play it in like your regular like tempo hunter, like tempo mid-range hunter. You just put a copy of this in because it's just so good. The Rat King. So this is the big payoff of the Beast deck. Okay. So you play your 5 mana 5/5 rush, and if it dies, after like 5 friendly minions die, it comes back. That's so mediocre and so slow. You have to spend 5 mana on like effectively a vanilla 5/5. Rush doesn't matter so much in a deck where you want your minions to be dying, because ideally you wouldn't want to clear off the enemy minions so you can trade into it so your minions die. You see the whole like the things don't synergize with each other that I'm talking about, right? But then let's say this dies, right? Like, your rats don't get rush. None of the rat cards. I'll just click out of it, right? So like, you need to effectively pay an extra card to give these rats rush, because this doesn't have rush. The card we'll see in a bit doesn't have rush. This doesn't give anything rush, right? So for the minions to die, it means you summon the minions, you wait a turn, and then you trade them into something. That's, for a hunter deck, that is so incredibly slow. which hunter deck is ever going to do this in the like the future of Hearthstone? Like, or in the past, you wouldn't even run this in like 2014 hunter decks. Like maybe you would run this card itself as a 5/5 rush back then. But like these support cards, the rats, you just would never run them. So yeah, final card, summon 7/1/1 rats. Any that can't fit on the battlefield go to your hand with +4/+4. Here's the problem with this card. Up to now, the whole archetype has been building around the idea that you swarm with small minions. And then this card just is like, hey, actually, we want to play big minions now. Like, I don't know. I just don't think, I think, like, also 6 mana, just really bad. Yeah, I won't spend too much time on Hunter, but this card is insane. And this card's insane. And this card's also insane. Everything else is just good at best. And then like the whole rat package is just so bad. So bad. Alright, let me drink some water. And let's move on to Mage. Alright. Mage gets some good stuff. And Mage also gets some really mediocre stuff. Alright, Hot Streak. Every single 0 mana card that has reduced the cost of something by 2 has seen play in Hearthstone. It's also a 0 mana card, so you can always auctioneer it. Your next fire spell this turn costs 2 less. Mage plays fire spells, this will see play. The elemental reduction saw play, prep sees play. This card will see play. It's just 0 mana cards that cheat mana are just generally good. It's pretty straightforward. First Flame, Twin Slice saw play. This is Twin Slice, but it's you don't need to trade with your face. You can just play it from your hand, and you can divide the damage in 1 turn. You don't need to wait 2 turns if you want to divide the damage. Once again, better card of something that has seen play before. So, guaranteed to see play. Also important, both of these are fire spells. It matters for the final card of Mage. Sorcerer's Gambit. I will say I do think this is a pretty underwhelming quest, but let's look at it. Cast Fire, Frost, Arcane spells, and then you draw a spell. Then you need to cast 1 of each again, and you discover 1. And by the way, this is like discover a Fire, Frost, or an Arcane spell. So you do get to pick the one you're missing for the final version, where once again you have to play 1 of each. Your reward is Arcanist Dawn Grasp, and for the rest of the game you have spell damage +3. I just think this is just so slow. You need to cast a total of 9 spells, then pay 5 more mana for a permanent +3 spell damage. But if you've cast 9 spells in most like serious Mage decks, you've already set up in your deck in a way where you win. Like in Wild, you have Mozaki Mage, like 9 spells, your Mozaki has like +10 spell damage. You also have the Cycle Flamewaker Mage, 9 spells. If you've played your 2 Flamewakers, that's effectively like 36 damage randomly split across all enemies already. So, in Standard, maybe Spell Mage runs this. I am not too familiar with Standard Spell Mage, but in like Wild, where Mage is like very dominant historically, this is just too slow, honestly. And it's very specific because it's not just any spell. You need like 1 spell of each type. So then you'd have to force yourself to slightly like change how you're building your deck. And like when you already have a broken deck, I feel like it would be bad to force yourself to change how you build it just for a mediocre reward. Again, this might see some play in Standard. I am not familiar with how Standard Spell Mage plays because it's not a strong deck anymore in Standard. And I don't know. I think at best this is like a tier 3 or tier 2 deck based around this, but tier 2 might be a bit too much. Just not an impactful card. Celestial Inkset. I don't even remember what this card does, but I have read through all of them, so it's probably bad. Let's see. After you spend 5 mana on a spell, reduce the cost of a spell in your hand by 5. Yeah, okay. Here's the thing. Just you're probably never getting the full reduction off of this. And Big Spell Mage wouldn't want to run a card this slow. Because, like, look at the... Let's just use this set as a sample, right? It's 0, 1, 2. Then, like, there's, like, 1 for a cost spell. But it has tradables, so it has to pay extra for that. So, right? Like, pretty much like you'll never get the full benefit from the reduction, and you are paying 2 mana up front for this weapon. Yeah, it's just if anything, you're paying like 2 mana to reduce like a 2 mana spell to 0. Like that's just not efficient. That's not worth a card slot in a deck where you want to just cycle spells. Ignite is a really crazy card. Okay, so I will review 2 cards in a bit of different order. So you deal 2 damage and then you shuffle an Ignite into your deck that deals 1 more damage. For the record, that means that Ignite shuffles 1 more Ignite into your deck that deals more damage and so forth. So first of all, this card makes it so you can't fatigue as Mage. 1 card, Fatigue Denial, which is really crazy. That's the first thing. Second of all, there's actually an OTK with this and this card right here. So we'll look into it more later, but after you cast a fire spell, you draw a spell. So if you can make it so that the only spell in your deck is Ignite, so you can usually do that towards the end of the game when you've drawn many of your spells, you play the other card that costs 5 mana. You play 2 Sorcerer's Apprentices, so your Ignites cost 0. And then you play Ignite, but that draws you another Ignite, but that draws you another Ignite, and you just kill your opponent. So, is that better than Mozaki Mage? It's not. But it is a cool combo, and it could see play in a non-combo deck. And what I mean by that is you could have a slower Mage deck use this as like a way to perhaps have an alternative win condition. So like you're playing Big Spell Mage, right? And you just take in 1 copy of Ignite. So let's say you're playing a hard control matchup, you've used all your control tools, you can actually close up the game with the Ignite combo, something like that, or at least avoid fatigue. So regardless, this is a really, really strong spell. In one way or another, it will see play. Prester's Pyromancer. Your next fire spell has spell damage +2. Really bad card. Noteworthy that it doesn't have to be the next fire spell this turn. But consider it like this, right? If look at this card. First Flame does 2 damage by itself. So you're running a minion that gives you your fire spell +2 damage, but instead you could run a fire spell that does 2 damage and gives you another fire spell that does 2 damage. So, I don't know. Especially since these cards are in the same set, like feels really weak. To be fair, this does apply to AoE, but like Flame Strike, you never win +2 on your Flame Strike. And then Fire Cell, I think is just a bad card. Or in the context of you buffing it. So Fire Cell, deal 3 to all minions, like Hellfire, and it has tradable, and you might say, wow, this is great, but like, in Standard, minions no longer swarm the way they used to. Like, you're playing Rush Warrior. Rush Warrior plays like only 2 minions and they both have high health, right? Like, even Hunter plays like the Rhino and stuff, so. Hellfire used to be good because Zoo decks were very common. And aggro stuff, we had like Pirates, we had like Beast Hunter. But now this card, like, it comes out in a day and age where even aggro has like really insane board states. Maybe good into Token Druid, but even then, do you really want to clear all of Token Druid's board? Like, you probably just want to only kill like 2 of them, so they can't OTK you, because you don't want them to have the card draw, so. The card's good, it's just I just don't think it fits in the meta, so I'm gonna say like it's bad, even though like it technically isn't a bad card, it's actually a better version of an old card that saw play. It's just the game has evolved so much that it's still not good enough. Yeah, so we looked at this, I actually think this is a bad card. The only use I could find for this card was the combo I just mentioned, and that's the only reason it might see play. Because this is actually a worse Auctioneer, because you need to cast a fire spell. Meanwhile, for 1 more mana, you have the same effect, but with just like any spell. So only benefit I see from this is the specific combo for Ignite, because it does tutor a spell specifically. All right, let's finish up with Mage. Clumsy Courier, cast the highest cost spell from your hand. There was like the 7 mana, then got reduced to 6 mana. If you're holding a dragon, your next spell costs 0 card. That's all play. But this is random. Let's say I have a Yogg box and a Pyroblast in my hand. Yeah, you don't like the random. So I think the randomness on this makes it far worse. Also, in standard, Mage has no big spell cards, and in Wild there's better cards that have the same effect. So, not good enough. Finally, Grand Magus and Tinnitus. This is one of the cards where I'm not sure yet, if that makes sense. I think this could go great. This could go pretty bad. Yeah, I just don't have an opinion on this card yet. I think the thing is, if this card is in your hand, it's insane because it's so easy to set up. There's so many fire spells in Mage that it's very easy to just play one, then one, then one. The problem with this card is when it's not in your hand, because you have to be constantly thinking that you may draw it. And if you draw it, it might be too late to then have to wait 3 turns. So does that mean you play a fire spell every turn? But then will you have enough to play it when you draw it? Like, it's just a very weird card. Like, if you can guarantee this is in your hand by a relevant turn, it's really crazy because casting 3 fireballs on an 8 mana 6/6, very strong effect. But I don't know. I don't know if you run this just because, like, if you, like, you might just not have the resources to always be prepared to play it, but then again, is that even a problem? Like, it's like you don't draw it, right? So, I don't know. I think it can definitely be a strong card, but, and there's a lot of fire spells this expansion. So, we'll be on the lookout for this one. Yeah, stressful card, yeah, because it's technically great, but then, like, you need to have prepared for it, like, 3 turns in advance. So, we'll see. Overall, Mage gets some really, really strong fire spells, so that's why Tony might see play. But otherwise, I think some of the support, like the Pyromancer, Fire Sail, like the quest, they're a bit underwhelming. Especially the quest. The quest gets no support. Interestingly, there's no Frost or Arcane spells this set, so it's kind of interesting. I believe every other quest gets at least one support card. All right. For all purposes, I'd like to take a look at the quest of Paladin first. Rise to the occasion. So, Rise to the occasion, you play 3 different 1-cost cards. Equip 1 for his Light's Justice, and then you play 3 different 1-cost cards, and you upgrade your hero power. And if that wasn't enough, you play 3 1-cost cards, and after you play Cariel, your recruits have +2/+2. So at the end of this, you basically have a better Baku hero power. So this is an incredibly dangerous card, especially since the upgrade is actually on the 2nd quest line. Because a single copy of First Day at School completes an entire quest line. So if you just start with like 2 copies of First Day at School, you complete this by like turn 4, and you probably get your hero power tap off. Yeah. So that's a very, very dangerous quest to print. I wouldn't say it's broken because like it does take time to set it up, but in terms of infinite value, this and one other quest are definitely up there, especially since you can play like the 5-mana demon to permanently have Divine Shield too. Like this can get pretty out of hand in grindy matchups pretty quick. And then you also have like the new card, Blessed Goods. Discover a secret weapon or Divine Shield minion. I think this card is just generally a decent card. And it also discovers a different card, so 2 parts of your quest completed just with this. Pretty crazy. So, I don't know. I'd also rate this card pretty good, and we'll probably see play in the quest. Will it see play anywhere else? Not too sure yet. I won't make a call on the Divine Shield deck, as you'll see. Prismatic Jewel Kit, after a friendly minion lose Divine Shield. Hand buff +1/+1, up to 3 times. We'll look at these, I think, holistically. I think that's the best way to do about it. Along with the Jewel Kit, we get this card, so Noble Mount, which gives the minion +1/+1 and Divine Shield, and it summons a 1/1 Divine Shield. We get the 3 mana 2/2 hand buff card. We get Catacomb Guard, which is the thing you want to be hand buffing. We get first Blade of Rin, which once again, you want to hand buff this because it gains Rush if it has at least 4 attack, and it also comes with Divine Shield, so you can chain it with Jewel Kit to hand buff more. And we get a High Lord for Dragon. And it's Divine Shield, and after a minion loses Divine Shield, hand buff a single minion by +5/+5. So this entire package, pretty much, except two cards in the quest, because this also gives Divine Shield support, right, is a hand buff Divine Shield deck. And they're really trying to push it here. They're giving you consistent hand buff, because there's just enough hand buff cards. They're giving you consistent payoff with the hand buff, this just needs to be hand buffed once. And then there's high-end hand buff, for perhaps 1 or 2 minions to close the game. I think you need to rate this package as a whole, as like, I guess you can split it into two, right? The hand buff package and then the Divine Shield package. So the hand buff package, which is Alliance Bannerman by himself, will see play in Mech hand buff in Wild. But beyond that, they're together if you think about it, because like every hand buff card is also related to Divine Shield. Like these three are all related. And while we do have one standalone Divine Shield and one standalone hand buff benefit, like there's not enough standalone Divine Shields and standalone hand buffs to make that a deck. So all of these cards either live together or die together in Standard. In Wild, they're just not good enough. In Wild, Bannerman sees play, and the whole package like never sees play. It's too slow. But in Standard, like either all of these cards are going to work together, or they just won't. And the thing is, because the synergy is there, it's one of those wait and see moments. It's impossible for me to be able to predict exactly the speed of the meta. So you just have to play this day one. Is this deck fast enough to keep up? If it is, actually very high tier. If it's not, literally all of these cards just fall off together. So City Tax, tradable, lifesteal, deal 1 damage to all enemy minions, better Spirit Lash, except Patrol Paladin isn't a thing. So wrong class. And then 3 mana, 3/3 lifesteal, can't attack heroes. What a bad card. Can't attack heroes is so bad. Yeah. Once again, Control Paladin, not a thing. Wrong class. Give these 2 cards to like Priest, and you got a deal, or like any other control class. Yeah. So this, I know I went through Paladin real quick, but it's just such a cohesive archetype. I think the same thing's also going to happen to Rogue. Is Rogue next? Okay, Priest is next. Yeah. So it's just a cohesive archetype in the way they printed these cards that there's no like individuality to them. Like for one to work, all of them have to work. So Priest. Okay, let's start with the quest. This is one of the worst cards ever printed from a design standpoint. So I like play 2, 3, 4 cost card, play 5, 6 cost card, and play 7, 8 cost card. Shuffle a shard into your deck. Shard instantly wins you the game. So the reason you might think this card is bad is because it auto wins you the game. It doesn't. The reason this card is bad is because it kills control. If control is ever meta, Priest just has a free win into control, because there's no way control beats this win condition. So effectively, from now till the end of Hearthstone, unless this card gets deleted, if control is ever meta, it can't be, because Priest will just farm free wins on it. And you say, well, what if Control Priest is meta? Won't this just have mirrors? You're right, but if Control Priest is meta and these mirrors start happening, people will just play Rizakus, and because Priest doesn't have like armor gain, so you can just OTK this Priest. So basically, the whole point is this card sucks in the current meta, but if any slow deck is ever the best deck in the game, Priest just farms them, so it's no longer the best deck in the game. As someone who likes to play slow control decks, this card just literally ruins a part of the game for me, because now every time I queue into Priest, there's just a % chance that I just can't win, like no matter what. Like no hard control deck ever beats this quest. So then like Priests might just include it in their decks to guarantee like they win like every control mirror. So Actually, terribly designed card. Okay, Call of the Grave. Wait, let's actually look at Benedictus first. So Benedictus, start of the game. If the spells in your deck are all shadow, enters shadow form. Yeah. Technically good. You get the odd mage hero power, start of the game. That's never proven to be bad, has it? But arguably this is a worse deck building restriction than odd cards. That said, that's arguable. I will say I don't think this is that good. Like the shadow spells available are pretty bad. But even then, like Priest doesn't synergize with shadow form well. Like you don't want to be dealing damage to like face or anything. So I mean, let's look at the shadow spells. They introduced quite a few. So let's look through the cards here. So Call of the Grave, discover Death Rattle minion. If you have enough mana to play it, trigger its Death Rattle. I think people have really misunderstood how you're supposed to play this card. Most people see this as either like a turn 1 or 2 play, or then you play on like turn 9 or 10 to get a big Death Rattle. I actually disagree. I think you play this on turn like 4 or 5, where you get like a 4 cost card. You get like a decent Death Rattle off it, and then you also get a decent minion for one mana, effectively. So I think this is actually a decent card. The thing is, does it fit anywhere in Priest? Do you play this in the Shadow deck? I don't think the Shadow deck is good. So the answer is no. So if you randomly generate this, it's a great card, but don't include this in your deck. Shard of Naru, once again, tradable, silence all enemy minions. This is actually a pretty crazy card, actually. I want to give it like a preemptive 5 stars, like say this card's broken, because there's a classic card which is like 4 mana, silence all enemy minions, and then you draw a card. But here, it's a 1 mana card, where you can silence all enemy minions. But you can also choose to draw a card instead for 1 mana, so it's like a choose 1, flexible. So, pretty insane card. Yeah. You can also, notably, it's 1 mana, so you get this off stuff like Wandmaker and like the Kobold, like Kabbalist, whatever it's called. You know, the dragon, the 3/5 dragon, 5 mana 3/5 dragon. So, really easy to randomly generate this. Void Touch Attendant. Both heroes take 1 extra damage from all sources. Like what, you're supposed to play this and then ping face in your shadow form deck? I just don't think that's good enough. Notably, this might see play in Rizakis, if people are really desperate. But I actually don't think it fits. I think people will try it though, so it is what it is. Shadowcloth Needle. After you cast a shadow spell, deal 1 damage to all enemies. Now this is actually a very strong card. It's effectively like repeatable whirlwind attached to your next 3 shadow spells. And yeah, that's just such a strong effect. It also hits face, I guess, but such a strong control effect. For a 2 mana card. Yeah, I think this is very solid. I think this might inspire some control priests to include this card in a few shadow spells to make it work. Really solid card. Twilight Deceptor. If any hero took damage this turn, draw a shadow spell. Like this is like one of those cards where they're trying to push the archetype. But think of it like this. Unless you've got a minion stuck, this is like the 2 mana 2/3. If you used your hero power this turn, draw a card. Now, if you have minions stuck on the board, you can play this on turn 2. But like, effectively, this is just that 2 mana 2/3 beast. And how much did that beast see play? Barely at all. So it's a slightly version better of that. You're gonna see dedicated play in a deck that doesn't already have enough support for it. The answer is probably, but that means the deck won't be that good. Siphon. Alright. After you cast a shadow spell, deal 2 damage to each hero. This is budget Inspire Dude that we use in the OTK for Rizakis. But the budget is so bad that you just don't want to run this. This does pretty much nothing. It's also a symmetric effect. I don't understand why they would make this a symmetric effect. Not that like it would be worse. Like, to be fair, it would be very strong if it only hit the enemy hero, but now it's just bad. Like, I think the concept of a card like this is really bad, and it's shown that literally one of the strongest cards in the game is a similar card to this. So, just I don't think this is. I think it's just bad design. Lifesteal 4 damage, Void Shard. Actually, just a good spell. Deal 4, heal 4. Control Priest loves this. Notably can go face for the Shadow Form Priest, but I don't think Shadow Form works. And finally, Alec Mount. 4/7, taunt to a minion, and when it dies, you summon a 4/7 taunt. This is gonna be insane off random generations. You just don't run this in your deck because it's too expensive. Notably, if you need a 7 mana card, you can still run Soul Mirror, so you don't need this yet. Perhaps after Standard rotates, and you need a 7 mana card, you have to play this, but it is what it is. Overall, Priest, one of the worst designed cards ever printed. Definitely, like, really strong though, don't get me wrong. And then, like, a lot of support for an archetype that just probably won't work. And then, like, 1 or 2 great cards for Control Priest. So, nothing insane. But I guess, like, since Control Priest is getting a lot of tools, Priest mains should be happy. Alright. Rogue. Amogus. Find the Imposter. Alright, let's review the Si7 cards first. I think that's better. So Rogue gets a new archetype. This expansion. I think the greatest thing about yeah, Amogus, man. Find the Imposter. Look at it. Yeah, so the greatest thing about Rogue is that it's getting an Si7 archetype. The reason I'm excited is because this is very reminiscent of Yu-Gi-Oh! Archetypes. Except Soul Fragments. All archetypes in Hearthstone are usually based around a specific mechanic, not a naming scheme with cards that just synergize with themselves. So Rogue is the 3rd class to break this trend after Demon Hunter and Warlock got Soul Fragments, and it gets support for the classic card Si7 Agent. So let's see what the support for that card is, right? First of all, we have Si7 Extortion. Deal 3 damage to an undamaged character, tradable. So the tradable really saves this card. It's like a equal to backstab. It's not as broken as backstab since you do have to pay 1 mana, but it's a very decent card, very decent tool to get rid of enemy minions early in the game or start combos. Notably, this can go face since it says character and not minion. So if your opponent is at 30 HP, you can also hit face with this, and then it's tradable to draw a card if you don't really want to get rid of something right now. So overall, not a bad card. But it's decent. It's a fair and balanced card. It's nothing crazy. So then we have Si7 Operative Rush. After this attacks a minion, gains stealth. I think this is a really bad card. I think it's very, very weak. It's at best a 3 mana 2/2 stealth deal 2. That's at absolute best. At worst, it's a 3 mana deal 2, or like a 3 mana like 2/1 stealth deal 2. So very, very bad card, but we'll see if it's worth running later on. So before I go to the payoff cards, there's actually one more Si7 card, which is a neutral. So Si7 Skulker is a 2 mana 2/2 stealth. With Battle Cry, the next card you draw costs 1 less. I think that's pretty decent. Hench Clan Sneak, I believe it was called, saw play in one of the most broken metas of the game, with just being a 3 mana 3/3 stealth. This is obviously much different, but it does also discount a card. So since it's a decent card, and you'll see the payoff cards are pretty insane, I think this definitely sees some play. So let's go back to Rogue cards. So yeah, let's look at the payoff cards. Also, Si7 Agent, the original Si7 card, does also count as an Si7 card, obviously, which is a 3 mana 3/3 combo deal too. Very strong card. So this archetype already does start with a strong card. So Si7 Informant, gain +1/+1 for each Si7 card you've played this game. So here's how this card goes. If you've played 2 Si7 cards, this card is fair. 4 mana, 5/5. That requires you to have played 2 Si7 cards for it to be a 4. 4 mana, 5/5 is fair. It's on the slightly stronger side, but it's fair. However, anything after that, if you've played 3 or more cards, you get a 4 mana 6/6, a 4 mana 7/7. You're approaching giant territory, which is like really, really good. So this payoff card actually looks very solid, but then there's actually something even better. Si7 Assassin, oh my god. So if you've played 2 Si7 cards, it costs 1 less for each Si7 card, and combo destroy an enemy minion. If you've played only 2 Si7 cards, this is a better Vilespine Slayer. And if you've played anything more than 2 Si7 cards, it's so insane. Notably, if you play as much as 4 Si7 cards this game, this is a Coerce that comes with a free 4/4 body. So definitely some incredible payoff cards for this archetype. So while like Operative is like a really bad card, like do you just run it to just have more cards to play the payoff cards? The answer is yes. Because now let's take a look at Find the Imposter. So you need to play 2 Si7 cards, and you get a Spy Gizmo. So the Spy Gizmo is, there's 5 possible Spy Gizmos. First is a 1 mana sap that also doesn't let them replay the minion. Next you have a 1 mana 3/2, and you also get to discover your opponent's like top card of their deck. 1 mana, give a minion +2 attack and stealth. That's not the best, but it's alright. You can set up some good plays with it. 1 mana 3/2 weapon, Death Rattle, throw this at a random enemy minion. So deal 3 at a random enemy minion. That's crazy. And finally, 1 mana 2/3. That's right, it's Shaku the Collector for 2 mana less. What an insane card! So, honestly, all you have to do to complete this questline is play 2 Si7 cards for a Spy Gizmo, play 2 more Si7 cards for a Spy Gizmo, and then play 2 more for a 5 mana 7/7 Scabs that gives you all 5 of the Spy Gizmos. Which means you're guaranteed a 1 mana Shaku the Collector. And then like some pretty insane cards. So, notably, you can Shaku, attack, Noggin Fog Generator, attack over 2 turns. So, yeah, really solid quest. Now, do I think this might be a bit slow for Rogue to give up their turn 1? Actually, no. At least in Standard. Because in Standard, most of the times Rogue are giving up their turn 1. So, overall, I'd say that every Si7 card will see play, except maybe Operative. Operative might see play at 1. But yeah, they are all very solid cards, and the payoffs are really good payoffs. Garrett, I don't know. Deal 2 damage, shuffle 3 bleeds into your deck that deal 2 more when drawn. Yeah, just cast 1 drawn, right? Yeah, okay. 2 mana technically deal 8 over a long period of time. But yeah. The real thing with this is actually there's finally enough. This marks the spot where there's enough printed face damage cards that are even cost for even Rogue in Wild to actually have enough damage from hand to kill the opponent without playing a single minion. Yeah. So this is like back when the even and odd cards came out. I remember I said that like there would be breakpoints in Hearthstone's like future where like even and odd decks that weren't viable before would just reach a breakpoint where because there's just enough of something printed now, they are broken. So even Rogue literally just gets to play Auctioneer and then cycle their entire deck. And yeah. Like that's where I see this seeing play in Wild, and I don't think this sees play in Standard. Too slow. Okay, Maestro of the Masquerade. Really interesting card, and actually whether or not this is good depends on one interaction. So in Standard, it's just a meme to get your opponent to mess up their mulligan. But the thing is, Since like half of the decks are aggressive, they only really mess up their mulligan one half of the time. So yeah. So here's the thing. In Wild, there is potentially, especially since even Rogue can benefit off the Gerrot card. If Baku effect stays when you're unmasked, that means you can turn 1 use the hero power of another class. And the majority of hero powers you want to use, the only low roll is like Priest. And then like, I guess like Warrior is a low roll because you don't want the armor. But like if you hit like Paladin, like Shaman's a high roll, especially in like a face even deck, like Hunter's a high roll. Like Paladin's also decent. Yeah, so depends. If Baku effect stays once you switch back to Rogue, it's potentially like a playable card, which is insane to think about. Loan Shark. Give your opponent a coin, you get 2. Your opponent gets the tempo first. Terrible card. Sketchy Information. Draw a Death Rattle card that costs 4 less, trigger the Death Rattle. I don't think there needs to be anything amazing off of this if you think about it. It's like if you draw an egg, it's like a 3 mana 4/4. Draw an egg. Really solid card. Now, is that fast enough for Wild? Because let's be real. Standard does not have enough Death Rattle synergies. The answer is no. But it's still a solid card. It's not bad. Counterfeit Blade. Gain a random friendly Death Rattle effect that triggered this game. Once again, too slow of a card. In Wild, you play the Necreum Blade, and you trigger the effect while the minion is still alive, and you get a copy of that effect while the minion's alive. So this, you need to wait until after a minion has died, and it costs 1 more mana, and then you need to break the weapon. So, much slower. And there's also like no good Rogue Death Rattle cards in Standard. So, yeah, overall, insane Si7 package. Really good stuff. Okay, Hunter, command the elements. Really over. Okay, so this quest actually technically can be broken. People are overrating it though, in my opinion. You need to play a total of like 3, that's 8 cards with Overload to get the effect. So here's how people are winning with this. They finish this quest and then they play Doomhammer and then Rockbiter, and that's like a fake OTK. It doesn't do 30 damage, but it does close enough to 30 damage where you usually like win the game. I just think that's very slow. I honestly don't think it will work. I could be proven wrong. I do think there's a chance this does end up working just because there's enough Overload cards, but if you've played 9 Overload cards, like when half of them deal damage to the enemy face, do you really need a game-winning combo to deal like 25 damage? Like your opponent's already at like 10 or 12 health. You can probably just stick to your like weapon overload deck without including this whole card. And then you still win the game, right? So you don't have to waste a hand slot at the start of the game on this card. We look at investment opportunity, draw an overload card. Really bad card. 1 mana draw. It's really bad. Just include a card you want to draw instead. Overdraft. Once again, I think an overrated card. Unlock your overloaded mana crystals to deal that much damage. Realistically, it's a 1 mana deal 3, 1 mana deal 4. I'd rather have a more high impact card in my deck. This does unlock overloaded. Mana crystals. But yeah, no, I know too much. Yeah, I just think this package is overloaded. I think Shaman's gonna be tier 1. But I don't think it's going to be tier 1 because it can unlock its overloaded crystals. Because the overloaded cards you'll see are just good by themselves. So tradable. I guess it's an okay card. Like I think it might fit into the deck, but it's not gonna save the deck pretty much. It's not gonna build the deck. It's not gonna make it be good. Okay. Auction Gavel. After your hero attacks, reduce the cost of a battlecry minion in your hand by 1. This is notably very strong in the current Shaman deck that exists and is tier 2 in Standard. So literally fits into a deck that's already good. That's all I have to say. Very good card. Mana cheat on a weapon, and you can tutor for the weapon, but then you can use the cost reduction of the weapon to play more tutor cards that tutor for more cards. Actually insane. Okay, Bolner Hammerbeak, 2 mana, 1/4. After you play Battlecry minion, repeat the first Battlecry played this turn. And for the record, yes, this does also include the minion, the first minion Battlecry that is played. It gets Brand, so it gets played twice. The thing is, Brand sucks in Shaman. Shaman has never played Brand, so this actually is not as good as you think it is. But there's a really cool OTK with this that probably sucks, but I'll still play it day one. So you play like before turn 10, you play the 4 mana Corrupt card that deals 4 damage to an enemy. Then on turn 10, you play Bolner, you play Lightning Bloom, and then you play the new Yashiraj, which adds a copy of that card to your hand that deals 4 damage to an enemy, but it costs 0. So then you play that card, but then Bolner makes it repeat the Yashira's Battlecry. So you get another one that costs 0 and another one that costs 0, and you deal 4 damage every time, and you OTK your opponent. So, is that going to be a viable deck? It won't, but it will be very fun. So, there's that. Yeah, Charged Call. Here's a card that actually makes Overload decks good, right? Like, discover a 1-cost minion, summon it. But it gets upgraded for each Overload card you played this game. So if you've just played 4 Overload cards, you already get a profit off of this. If you've played like here's the thing. So let's say you completed the quest, right? So how many does the quest want you to play? Like 8? Yeah, it wants you to play 8, and then you can play this card. But if you've played 8 cards to complete the quest, why play a 5 mana 7/7 that gives you an effect that you'll use in a future turn, when you can play a 3 mana 8 cost minion? Yeah, like, this is such a better payoff than the quest itself. So like, yeah, cards like this are gonna push Overload Shaman. It's just the quest won't. So yeah, this card's insane. It's really gonna push Overload Shaman. I really believe it. And then you have Canal Slogger, 4 mana 6/4 Rush Lifesteal Overload 1. I would play this at like Overload 2. Like, this is such an insane card. I don't know, and it's an elemental, so you can literally tutor with it with the 3 mana card. So you can literally have this be your only elemental in the deck. So then you play your 3 mana card, which draws an elemental, and then you draw into this and play this the next turn after. What an insane card! Just overall good at all parts of the game. Really strong card. Granite Forgeborn. 4 mana 4/5. Reduce the cost of elementals in your hand and deck by 1. Very underrated card. People have been sleeping on this. There's just so much going on in this expansion, where it's like, yeah, people don't realize this is a 4 mana 4/5 vanilla stats, and then like it gives you like a permanent discount on like every elemental you have. Very just an overall solid card. And then Spirit Alpha. After you play a card with Overload, summon a 2/3 Spirit with Wolf. So yeah, you do want to Overload. You play this card. Think about it like this: if you play this card and then you play one mana, I forget what it's called, Lightning Bolt, I believe, the 1 mana deal 3 damage Overload 1 card, like, insane. You already have a 4 mana 2/5 and a 4 mana 2/3 for 5 mana, and your 2/5's protected. But then you can chain multiple turns multiple spells the turn you play this. But here's the thing. To do this, it means you're pretty late into the game and you still have Overload spells. So if you want to play this card, you're actually not really playing the quest, because the quest wants you to complete it as fast as possible. Meanwhile, this card wants you to save your Overload cards for like a bit later in the game so you can chain them, right? So once again, like, big payoff for Overload, but it kind of goes against how you want to play the quest. And finally, Tiny Toys. This won't see play in Standard, but this is a crazy card for Evolve Shaman in Wild. Summon 4 random 5-cost minions. Notably, you can equip the weapon beforehand, so even though they're 2/2s, you play the weapon on 5, you play this on 6, boom, you suddenly have like 6 mana for 4 6-cost minions. Insane card. I don't think I need to say more for this one. Okay, Warlock. I'll actually run through this pretty quick, even though I'm a big Warlock fan in Hearthstone. This is like a pretty straightforward review for these. Demon Seed. Two possible things. First of all, this is too slow for standard. For wild, two possible things happen. This either goes in the exact Dark Lair list we have right now, and it's an alternative win condition if they blow up your giants, or we use the Dark Lair package to turbo this and kill your opponent fast. Really strong card, really strong questline. Notably, you can never die to fatigue, so there's also that. Touch of Nethrezim, deal 2. If it dies, restore 4. This is only good in standard because the Warlock doesn't have a lot of healing in standard. This card sucks normally, but Warlock is desperate for healing in standard. This never sees playing wild. Bloodbound Dimp, 2 mana, 2/5. Whenever this attacks, deal 2 to your hero. Really bad card unless you need more stuff for the quest in standard, once again, because standard Warlock doesn't have good cards right now. Dreadsteed Mount. You don't want to have effects on spells. Just play a Dreadsteed instead if for 1 second. If for some reason you need to play a Dreadsteed, play the minion instead. Spells can get countered, minions can't. Ruined Mithril Rod. After you draw 4 cards, reduce cards of your hand by 1, lose 1 durability. This is notably strong. I don't know what you'd be discounting in standard though, and in wild you can just play Emperor and not have the draw restriction. Dark Alley Pact, Summon Fiend with stats equal to your hand size, basically a Mountain Giant. Yeah. Mountain Giant, but potentially worse. Okay. Demonic Assault. Deal 3 damage, summon 2 1/3 Void Walkers with Taunt. Most people are saying this is better than Flanking Strike. 1 3/3 in my opinion is literally better than 2 1/3s with Taunt. You can notice that you're summoning 2 1-cost minions instead of 1 2.5-cost minion. Pretty straightforward. Also, Void Walkers anti-synergize with Gul'dan and also the Prime in standard, so they mess up your res effects. We'll still probably see play if Quest Warlock is a thing in standard though, just because again, Warlock doesn't have enough good cards. Shady Bartender. Give your demons +2/+2, tradable, literally a better Fungal Mancer for Demon Zoo decks. Pretty much we'll see play whenever Zoo is a thing, for like a few years. Really solid card. If Zoo is meta, this card sees play. Anatheron costs 1 if your hand is full, 6 mana, 8/6. Noticeably, 6 health is far worse than 8 health. So while this might look like a cool giant, it gets cleared so much easier than a giant. This doesn't see play in wild. Maybe if Hand Warlock is desperate, they play this in standard. Because they don't have enough giants, they only have like the 4 mana card we just saw. Entitled Customer. AoE effect based on your hand size. Really strong card actually. I think this is the one great tool a Warlock is getting here that might see play. This might bring Evenlock back and have Evenlock be a bit more control focused. Incredibly powerful card. And there's also one more even hand card that we'll take a look at that is pretty insane in the neutral card section. So this is definitely the only card as a control Warlock player, instant 5 stars. I literally play even Warlock again to play such a strong effect. Okay. And for the record, no, Anatheron does not fit into even Warlock. You can play Flesh Giants and Molten Giants and Mountain Giants. This is worse than all of those cards. So overall, Warlock is getting some okay tools for standard, but because standard Warlock is very weak, none of these tools, except like Customer and maybe Demon Seed, make the cut in wild. So it's very unfortunate to see. Warrior. Okay, Provoke. Very overrated card in my opinion. Choose a friendly minion, enemy minions attack it, you're wasting a card on this. Just give it Taunt XD, but like actually though. Very, very weak effect for a card. So the issue with this isn't the mana, it's that you're wasting a card on an effect like this, when you should be playing Rush and Taunt minions in Warrior in the first place. So, yeah. People are saying this is going to be strong for a Control Warrior, but the way Control Warrior plays now actually, you just focus on the Rush, the Taunt, and the weapons. So enemy minions are already interacting with your own minions. It's not like old Control Warrior where you just played high cost minions. Raid the docks. So for the record, my favorite deck of all time is Dead Man's Hand Warrior. I am a Control Warrior player. However, and I'm a Control player in general, the only aggro deck I have ever enjoyed in the history of the game is Pirate Warrior. And here Blizzard is giving me a Pirate Warrior card that fits into Control Warrior decks. I love this. So like, huge bias, but this is probably one of my favorite cards I've ever seen released in this game. Play 3 pirates, you draw a weapon. You play 2 pirates, you fire 2 ship's cannon shots. And then finally you play 2 pirates, and you get a 5 mana 7/7 that summons an infinite value pirate card. Every turn, you get a random weapon equipped for free. And then you effectively have like a invisible cannon that can't attack, and that fires 2 shots instead of 1, and you also summon a pirate. Really, really, really cool infinite value card. I actually don't think it's that strong. I think because pirates have historically been an aggressive archetype, it's very difficult to make a slow, control-y deck that benefits from this quest. Like, we'll see a few pirates that can help. And then there's also like the 5 mana 4/5 rush card with Frenzy Draw card. And then there's also the 4 mana 2/5 taunt that equips a Fiery War Axe. But except those 2 cards, there's not a single pirate in history in Hearthstone that would fit in this deck. And we actually need to play 7 of them to complete the quest. So the quest is going to be, in my opinion, really fun. As you'll see, there are pirates that can help do this. So notably, the draw weapon helps, because in Standard you can always draw Outrouter Sax, and Wild you can always draw Ankar, which helps you progress the quest more. And then you don't care about having more weapons in your deck, because once you get the Juggernaut, you get a weapon every turn. So you don't want to actually have more weapons in your deck. So really good synergy there. I will say, in Wild, the way I predict this team play is I think it might fit into aggro Pirate Warrior. To be fair, like, when you're a really good Pirate Warrior player, sometimes you do actually give up your turn 1 to try to go for cannon into 1-drop with coin or something. But I think more realistically, this will probably fit into the tempo odd Pirate Warrior archetype that had popped up like a few months ago, and it kind of died down. But I think this card just fits so well into it, because Odd Warrior also has a late game plan and can play this with boom and everything. So where's the hydrate button? Bro, I gotta hydrate. Can you actually hear it in my voice? Like, I'm drinking a lot of water, but it's like I've been speaking for so long now. But yeah, really looks like a really fun card. I'll try this in both like Standard and Wild. I'm probably just gonna play Control Warrior with this quest in Standard for like a while. I don't know if I'll stream tomorrow, but definitely catch my stream soon. I will play this deck on stream. So, what support cards does this quest come with? I think the first one's also like the most underwhelming. It's like 1 mana deal 5 if you control pirate, otherwise deal 2 by itself. Hey, also appreciated, my guy. But yeah, I'm just trying to like power through all of these. We should be getting close to the end. I'll power through the neutral ones, because most of the neutral ones are pack fillers. So yeah, I guess this card's okay. It might see play in Standard because they don't have that many execute tools, but I don't think this sees play in like any Wild deck ever. As I mentioned, pirates are aggressive, and this is like a control card, so doesn't fit the archetype there. But don't worry, because Harbor Scamp. Okay, I will say this. I have not said this on video yet. I said Ankar was 5 stars. No one else, like no streamer, no top player, said Ankar was 5 stars. Ankar ended up being like a high 5-star card. I called it because I saw the potential of what tutoring a pirate could do, even in a slow deck. So once again, I will say, now people are already saying this is 5 stars because it's literally Ankar. So yeah, it's 5 stars. It's literally Ankar on a body, which is like pretty cool. But just saying, because I haven't had the chance to say this yet, I was right, and yeah, I told everyone and no one believed me. And then Ankar got nerfed, and I'm like, haha, I told you so. But yeah, so really good card. Obviously supports supports the quest really well, because especially the 2 later on quest lines, you can complete each one just with this card, because this draws you something and then you play both, and you complete the 2 later quest lines. So definitely will see play in the quest. Notably, even if the quest doesn't see play, you play this in control decks, because it tutors the 2 pirates I mentioned, like the only other 2 control pirates. Oh, JK, there's more control pirates now. At the end of your turn, gain 3 armor. 3 mana, 2/4. This is actually worse than the 3 mana, 2/3, gain 3 armor battle cry. Add a lackey to your hand. But because of the pirate synergies that are appearing for control decks, this might be quote unquote better to include, even though, like, as a 1-to-1 card comparison, it's worse. It just has better synergies. These look lackluster. Like, here's the thing with tutoring. Here's the thing with tutoring a pirate. You actually don't necessarily use this for the quest. Let me find the cards. Like, you use this to tutor specific pirates. You don't run like many pirates in your deck. What's the card called? Sorry, I am not that familiar with I'm not that familiar with Baron card names. So I need to Google it real quick. Hearthstone Frenzy cards. It's the one you run. It's the one you run with like Sourfang, but like, man, what's the card called? Why can't I find it? Here, let me pull up card sets, Fortune of the Barons. Let me pull it up here. Yeah, pause. Yeah. I need to show what I'm talking about. It's probably a good idea for the stream. Let's go warrior cards, because I'll show off the 2 pirates you want to tutor with this. So you don't want to tutor any random pirate with that card. The card is really good because you actually only include, like, I mean, you also include this to just be able to complete your quest. But the pirates you want to hit is this guy. It's like taunt and equip a fiery war axe, really strong card. And then you also want to hit this guy. There you go, the Anchorman. 5 mana, 4/5 rush, draw a card when you deal damage. Really, both really good cards in the control deck. And then, like, especially for the Anchorman, you combine it with Kresh, and you play Sarfang, and you resurrect them. So I think, like, the way this card's actually going to see play in it, I mean, the way I think that the quest is also going to see play, you play like a control deck where you include the quest, you include the pirate draw, you include the 2 pirates I showed off, you include Kresh, and you include Sourfang, and the Outrider's Axe, and you kind of like cycle your entire deck. I think that's the way it's gonna go. And then you also probably just include this to be able to complete your quest easier. Heavy Plate garbage card, much worse shield block. Gaining 3 armor is not equivalent to drawing a card by any means. So just far worse shield block will never see play. 3 mana, 3/3. Gain +2 attack this turn. This might see play in aggro pirate warrior in wild, especially since now people are doing the weapon build, which I personally don't like, but this does fit into that weapon build. So this should not see play in the quest deck though. And then we have like a so random card, 4 mana, 3/6 mech, and then when it takes damage, you shuffle like two 1s into your deck, and they auto summon when drawn. This pack produces more flex options. I mean, are you talking about Heavy Plate? Because, like, yeah, you can trade it, but it's like, it's just a flat out worse card on paper. If you're talking about the expansion as a whole, I'll give my thoughts at the end. But yeah, this card's super random. It doesn't fit into anything right now. It's not bad, but like, it just doesn't fit into anything. It's like an okay card. It's also not overpowered, so even if it did fit into something, you'd want to play it necessarily. Just an okay card. I guess pack filler, if anything. Oh, what a bad card. 6 mana, 6/2. It's a summon a minion from your deck. It's a big warrior card that anti-synergizes with itself. Because you don't want to pull this card from your deck when you're pulling big minions from your deck. So, XD. Terrible card. Lothar. Yes, so. Since we're on warrior cards, right? Okay. See this card here? So this guy, 7 mana, 7/7, and you attack a random enemy minion, and only if you kill it, you gain +3/+3. Mean more pirates? Yeah, pirates, it does come with more pirates, but I think like there's already a lot of pirates in the game that are really good. So I think if they released like really broken pirates in this set, it would have pushed it overboard. I think it's fine with the releases they made. The 2 mana 2/2 draw pirate is really strong. But yeah, this guy. So he has to attack a minion and kill it. And you only get this buff obviously at the end of your turn if you kill a random enemy minion, right? Now you look at this guy over here, okay? At the end of your turn, you summon 2 3/3s, and the 3/3s attack random enemies, so this is not even just minions. This can go face. So you look at these guys, and this guy has to damage himself to get his effect, and get potentially a gain of +3/+3. This guy summons 2 3/3s. They either trade with enemy minions, so you can gain a 3/1 or a 3/2, or if one of them hits face, you also gain a 3/3. And this guy's a legendary, so you can only have 1 copy in your deck. This guy's not a legendary, so you can have 2 copies in your deck. Yeah, so who would win? A school bully from, like, who's over a year old? Or the new card that damages itself to attack? It's like the school bully, the heck? How is this okay? Who printed this and thought people will choose this over Troublemaker? Like, Troublemaker is so good. It doesn't damage itself to have effectively the same effect, and technically if both of the ruffians hit face, then you gain +6/+6 worth of stats instead of +3/+3, and you don't damage yourself to do it. Like, okay. Overall, warrior, as a warrior player, I think this expansion is very fun. Realistically, however, the only good card that will help warrior be strong is this pirate right here, because you're going to be able to tutor for your actual good pirates from other expansions. But Raid the Docks is just so much fun. And also notably, even though it's not a broken card, it is good enough to make a tier 2 or tier 3 deck that will be viable to play the game with. Okay. Neutrals, I will do a super round because there's a lot of cards here and a lot of them are pack filler. Elwyn Boar, okay, this is not one I will do a super round on. Sword of 1,000 Truths, if 7 of these have died, you equip this, and this card just wins you the game effectively. Here's the thing. This is not hard to pull off in Wild if you play Death Rattle Priest, and you use all the Resurrect and Death Rattle synergies, to the point where you can probably pull this off before turn 10. That's all I'm gonna say. Does that mean this will happen? Maybe. I have no clue. Because with a deck like this, I think you just have to play it to get the feel of it, where you're just resurrecting. Because like Resurrect Priest is already pretty good. So, I don't know. I think there's a chance for this to make a proper new deck archetype for Priest. It's kind of insane to think about. Anyway, alright, turbo round. 1 mana 2/1 Peasant, pack filler. Will never see play, never survives a turn. Auctioneer Jackson, whenever you trade, discover a card from your deck to draw instead. You never want to trade. Trade means you're in a bad position. Why play a card that makes a bad position slightly less worse? Just play cards that won't put you in a bad position. 2 mana 1/2, discover mech, it costs 1 less. Very mediocre card. Just play 3 mana 1/3 poisonous. That gives you a spell. Pack Mule, 5-star card, insane card. It's Firefly, but you get the Firefly effect without having to play the card. You just have to draw it. This also synergizes with hand decks. This is also even, so it fits into even lock. Busted card. Insane addition to the game. Florist, really great art. That's all I have to say about it. The card sucks. Mailbox Dancer, literally a worse version of the questing dude who gave you a coin from like 3 years ago or like 2 years ago. Pandaren Porter, discover a spell that didn't start in your deck. How about I just play this with a poisonous? What an epic card! Yeah. I'm assuming. Oh wow, the stream delay is. You're talking about the. Where is it? The board, right? Oh, Mailbox Dancer. What the heck? That's a terrible card. Actually, there's actually a card from like 2.5 years ago or something. That's just straight up better than this. And that barely saw any play. So yeah, he does look hilarious, but it's just a bad card. Sag. But yeah, Pandaren Porter. Why would you want to play a card that didn't start in your deck? If a card is good, you put it in your deck. That means you're getting bad card. So that's so funny. Skulker we went over. This only sees play in that rogue deck, but yeah. That's crazy. Stockade's Prisoner, dormant after you play 3 cards, this awakens. Bad card by the time you play 3 cards. Could have just played another dormant minion instead, or just played a good minion. Banker, at the end of your turn, store a card from your deck, and then you draw the cards. This might see play in some slow meta, but overall, just play instant card draw instead. Entrapped Sorceress, if you control a quest, discover a spell. How, once again, you play a 1/3 poisonous, discover a spell instead of this. That also doesn't require you to be playing a quest. Dungar has already been released and has seen Fringe play in certain slow decks. So, not too bad of a card. He was our pre-release card. Very average. Impatient Shopkeep, tradable Rush, pack filler. Nobleman, create a golden copy of a random card in your hand. Effectively pack filler. Too hard to make it to work. Northshire Farmer, choose a friendly beast, shuffle 3/3 copies into your deck. Notably, this can copy Guff the Tough, and it can also copy like Rappletingers, but overall, pack filler. Package Runner can only attack if you have at least 8 cards in hand. This is a very bad Mountain Giant, so pack filler. Tradable battle card, destroy your opponent's weapon. Actually insane card. 3 mana, 3/4, so vanilla stats, weapon destruction, and it's tradable. So if your opponent just doesn't run weapons, you don't need to play this card. You can switch it with something else. So actually insane 5-star card, makes you think about running weapons twice in the future. Two-Faced Investor, the worst card of the set. Just a joke, like the meme card of the set, pretty much. Yeah. Just increases the cost in your hand by 1, but it can also reduce it by 1. Just random. Okay. Cheesemonger, whenever your opponent casts a spell, add a random spell with the same cost to your hand. Just play Ogremancer instead. Guild Trader, tradable, spell damage +2. Honestly, not too bad, but I don't know. I think with this is one of the cards where it's like it's a mediocre card. It might make its way into like one deck or something, but nothing really to talk about. Very simple card. They made Spellbreaker with tradable, man. Why? Who thought, like, they Hall of Famed Spellbreaker because it was too strong to stay in Standard? And then they just, like, a year and a half later, 2 years later, they make Spellbreaker. But, like, power creeped. Yeah. Sprite's Redbreaker, this is the other card I was talking about for hand decks. 4 mana, 3/2, restore health to your hero equal to your hand size. You're probably hitting 7 or 8 off of this. So it's an antique heal bot that costs 1 less. Really, really crazy card. Amazing card. Yeah, it's also even costed, so yeah, really, really crazy. Stubborn Suspect, 4 mana, 3/3, summon a random 3-cost minion. Would Piloted Shredder see play in the modern day? I actually don't know. This is one of those cards where it could end up seeing some play as a Piloted Shredder, because the Death Rattle is better, even though the base stats are worse. But maybe, I think a card like this maybe is just too slow. Like, it saw play in Hearthstone like 5 years ago, but I don't think that's good enough to make the cut in today's decks. This is, if you know the meme, you know it, this is like practically Loatheb. Yeah, pretty much insane finisher for aggro decks. I think people will come to hate this card. Yeah. Just a really strong card, makes your minions attack twice effectively. 5 mana, 5/5/2, so not the easiest thing to remove. Lion's Guard, if you have 15 or less health, this becomes 6/10 taunt. Pretty decent anti-aggro card. Yeah, pretty decent anti-aggro card. I don't know. I think this could see some play in some control decks. I also think it might be slightly too slow though. Like in Warrior, like I'd rather play like my my like 5/5/8 rush card than a 6/10 taunt, because I get to proactively trade. But we'll see. Definitely a possibility for this to see play in control. City Architect, like literally a worse version of it skipped Stormwind Guard. Okay. Stormwind Guard, battle card, give adjacent minions +1/+1. It's a fungal mancer, but the stats are spread differently. But notably the burst damage is taken away to give more stats to the body. That's generally a worse trade. So slightly weaker fungal mancer could see some fringe play. City Architect, literally a worse anti-aggro card than Lion's Guard. So just play Lion's Guard. They both serve the exact same purpose. This just summons 0/5s with taunt. Cornelius Rowe. Okay. Probably the second best card of the expansion, assuming like Hunter Quest is the best card. This is card number 2. So at the start and end of each player's turn, you draw a card. At worst, this draws you 2 cards and is a 4/5 with taunt. At best, this draws you like, yeah, if they don't kill it, you draw 4 more cards. So actually unreal card. 6 mana, 4/5 taunt that draws 2 would see play, but this has the potential to see more. Actually insane card. I don't think this gets nerfed because cards like this usually don't get nerfed. And it is also in the higher end mana-wise, but really, really strong card. Lady Prester is a meme card. Transform your minions into random dragons that keep their original cost, and this is in your deck, so... yeah, this is just a meme card, so... Notably, if you do hit, if you're playing Hunter or Demon Hunter, and you do have the thing that reduces your hero power cost by 1 and then twice, and you hit you have like a 1 in 37 of getting an OTK by hitting the Mage Dragon that refreshes your hero power infinitely. But yeah, meme card. Morg Forge Fiend, big demon. You always have to be cautious when you see a big demon, because Warlock exists. I will say, I don't think this card is as strong as people make it out to be. Maybe it's good into... maybe you tech it. Here's how I think you tech it. You probably tech 2 Dreadlords, 1 Voidlord, and 1 Forge Fiend in Wild. So you try to tech the Forge Fiend into the Rasakas matchups. But definitely a card to keep your eye out on. This can be resurrected with N'Zoth as well. So Varian, King of Stormwind. So this is a combination. It's like Zilliax plus Lady whatever her name was from Witchwood. 2 in 1. Actually insane card. The Divine Shield's probably going to be the hardest for most decks, but Rush Taunt is already pretty good. So thinking like some mid-range decks, 100% can probably pull this off. Really crazy card. And finally, Goldshire Knoll. I think this is a very overrated card. People are saying it's equivalent to Mountain Giant, but I think a 5/4 is far worse than an 8/8, even though the 8/8 doesn't have Rush. Is Rush worth that many stats on a big body? I still don't think so. This also does cost 2 less, but I don't know. I don't think this card is as good as people make it out to be. So, yeah. I did kind of run through the neutrals, but like most of them are pack fillers. Oh, also we somehow skipped this, but pack filler. Yeah. Let me make sure I went to... oh, it skipped some of them. I don't know why. This guy? Pack filler. Let me make sure I've gone through every card. This art is actually very pretty though. Sucks that a card sucks. Like, did I cover everything? Let me make sure. Okay, I think I covered everything. Alright, Overall feelings of the set. Okay, my top 3 personal favorite cards of the set. Number 3, Final Showdown, just because people are hating on it, and I think you can do so much fun stuff with this card, like with its first 2 rewards, that it's like unintended based on how you're supposed to play the deck. I'd say my number two favorite card from the set is probably where is she? The Baker. Yeah, Spice Bread Baker. You run this in your hand deck, and this probably brings like control-ish even lock back because you have the sustain. Obviously, number 1 favorite, Raid the Docks. So overall thoughts about the set. There's some. I think the power level is like way off. There's like some cards like the Hunter quest that are just absolutely not okay. And then there's just some cards like the Warlock cards that like will only see play because Warlock doesn't have anything better. So I think the power level's definitely crazy. I think the pack filler rate is really good. Most of these cards are printed with the intent of seeing play. Definitely much less pack filler than most sets. So I think it's gonna be a great expansion. Yeah, I have like a lot of decks theory crafted too, so I'll definitely be playing a lot tomorrow. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I'll be uploading this to YouTube as well. Yeah, we hit it before 2 hours. It's been an hour 58. So yeah. The VOD's gonna be public April, and I recommend you like look at my talk about Final Showdown, because it's a very, most people are saying this card is garbage, but I actually think I think there's a way you can make this work in OTK. But yeah, those are my overall thoughts. Anything else I want to highlight? And Tinnitus is probably like I think the biggest question mark for me. Like this card can potentially see 0 play, or it can be like really impactful. Anything else that I didn't mention? Oh yeah, I hate this card. Ruins Control. I know I mentioned it, but just highlighting how bad it is. And then again, I wish in the future we see more archetypes like the SIs, because I think I wanna go to more like Yu-Gi-Oh style archetypes in this game. Yeah, I think that pretty much sums it up. Oh, also something I didn't mention about, I know I instantly said don't play a spell, play minion instead. I know this costs 1 mana less, but in Wild, playing a spell is bad because it can get countered by like 2 different classes. Like Oh My Yogg from Paladin and a counterspell from Mage. So if for some reason you want the effect of it, that Dreadsteed that isn't even that good, it's actually better to just play the minion itself for 1 more mana, so you're always guaranteed to get it off. I know I didn't go into too much depth on this one. But yeah, alright, thank you all for watching. This was quite a long stream, but it's not like I have anything better to do. My hands are still in a pretty bad spot, so I don't get to play many games. So I'll definitely be playing tomorrow. I might actually stream some theory crafted decks. So yeah, thank you all.